Go.
Well,
Hey,
hello.
hey guys,
Yeah,
I'm the Blood Elf on the right.
yeah. His name's Alex. It's
Hey,
and it's and it's Throwback Sunday.
yeah, and hey, we're recording on a Sunday.
We sure
Um,
are.
it's
That's why I
been
said it.
like 4 or 5 years since we recorded something.
Well, 2022. That probably makes 5 years since we've made. Well, since the
We- uh,
first episode.
Our first episode was 2017.
Okay, 5 years.
Look, shut up! I don't do math well. I don't. I don't need this. I'm a
This
gamer. I have gamer headphones, Chris.
okay. Yeah, and mine have cat ears.
No, they don't.
No, they don't. But the ones that the second pair that I got has cat ears.
I got Kim a pair of cat ear headphones.
Of course,
She
only
likes cats.
natural.
It's the best.
It's true.
But
So it is.
welcome
It is
back, everyone. Like, what's new? How's the wife and kids?
yeah, everything is pretty great. How is everyone doing? Uh Lots has happened since BlizzCon 2017.
Hey, remember?
That was our last episode.
Yo, remember when Ngoro Crater came out? That was tight.
Yeah, that was a while ago. And
Oh, good lord.
we also happen to be talking about more stuff nowadays too.
Yeah, now we're talking about Blizzard.
Yeah, well, more than just that nowadays.
Yeah,
Um,
no, we're kind of all over. We're still big Blizzard fans, but we're playing a lot more things.
Yeah, playing games, card games, tabletops, especially TTRPGs as of the past like 3 years.
Yeah,
So
I've been delving
yeah,
back into card games and board games. Yeah, we're spanning our interests.
yeah. I mean, not like we didn't have these interests to begin with. We just figured we had a lot to say about Blizzard. But I think, like we had talked about, we're saying BlizzBiz is now going to be its own sort of like segment or like its own like separate show on the channel. But I think we're going to the channel hasn't been named or renamed yet as of this episode, but it will eventually have a new name. And then the BlizzBiz will just be its own separate show that'll have recordings specifically towards Blizzard stuff, so that if you want to listen to like random nerd culture, then do listen to the main stuff.
Yeah, and like the BlizzBid stuff will be like like podcast length. Like we'll be talking for an hour or two about a specific topic that maybe interests us in terms of Blizzard. And I'm gonna be real, it's most likely gonna be about World of Warcraft.
I mean, it always is. Like we're like, especially because Blizzard only has like 2 games right now that are really thriving at all.
I know they got StarCraft remastered, and you got Heroes of the Storm. They're the
No,
only games.
no, man, it's StarCraft cartooned with carbot animation.
Well, like usual, I have instead of questions, because I liked the old style of format we did with like interview style, because it got a little discussion going. Instead, I just got topics we can talk about now, like normal podcasters do.
Yeah,
Just involving all sorts of gaming, and me and Chris have been discussing. We rolled off on a D20 to see what exactly topic we'll be talking about, and we're gonna start with something that is near to me. See to my background, I'm a big fan of board games, but there's a question I thought to myself while I was getting a bunch of these board games, and is that nowadays for these new board games, do you think board games are just getting too complex?
it depends on the board game. Like, I mean, if you just go and you're gonna go buy Pop the Pig, then you're just gonna play Pop the Pig. But like, if you're going out to buy Gloomhaven, you really don't know what you're getting into because the box doesn't tell you.
The box doesn't tell you, the online doesn't tell you, Gloomhaven fans don't tell you. You just gotta figure it out, man.
It's true. It's like getting into the Brawlers Guild in World of Warcraft. Like, invitation only, and you got to figure it out. If you can't figure it out, you can get out.
You can get out. Well, it's like because I was yeah, I mean, like, because these rules are only written on like 4 or 5 pages. It doesn't seem that complicated. Um, there are classic games like Risk that aren't super complicated, but I have no idea what I'm doing in Risk. And I mean, I tried a mobile version. I tried in person. You have games like Catan that are super complex games. Even Villainous, like I love Villainous. It took me a couple games to actually figure out what was going on with Villainous, and it sucks that you kind of have to play the game wrong to figure out how to play the game right. And is that a testament to the game being too complex in itself, or is it more you just need practice like anything else?
Well, I mean, it's probably a little bit of both. You you have to practice at something in order to understand it and get good at it. I mean, we've been playing Warhammer for 20 years, and we still get rules wrong because there's the rules are so girthy. So when you look at a game like Villainous, which I've really only played maybe like 3 or 4 games of, um, it's it the problem with it is that there's so many board games out there that are trying to be unique and try to have their own flow and game style. And I mean, like, card games have been like that too, where they all try to do something different so that they're not just copying Magic the Gathering, or they're not just copying Yu-Gi-Oh, or whatever, really popular card game at the time is. But like for board games, it's like they don't just want to be Monopoly, or they don't just want to be Cards Against Humanity, because they want to be the next big hit card game. And in order to do that, you have to have uh, a different type of style. But I mean, not necessarily, because like you know Cards Against Humanity was just apples to apples a year before Cards Against Humanity came out. So it's like you can become successful off of doing a similar idea but making it your own. But sometimes I think if a board game doesn't have something as like a foundation, then it could get all sorts of wackadoodle, and then you don't really, like you said, you don't you kind of have to play it wrong in order to play it right.
So I think also contributing factor to a lot of this is game pieces in itself. If you play a game, like I'm excited, I haven't played it yet, but I'm excited to play Small World of Warcraft because it looks like a super fun game. But there's a lot of tokens, and it can be very overwhelming to constantly feed into all of these tokens. You take a look back at some of the older classic board games that have been going on for years, like Monopoly or the Game of Life or Yahtzee. Yahtzee is some dice in a cup and a piece of paper. They don't have a lot of these pieces and crazy things, so it makes it easier to understand what each thing does. Comparatively, something like Small World of Warcraft or Pandemic, they have a lot of pieces and a lot of cards and a lot of rules. Do you think that might be the reason why these are getting kind of jumbled up with like rulings and complexity?
Well, I think it's more like it's more of a turnoff. Like if you buy a gigantic board game, like say, I know you just talking about Small World of Warcraft, but I have the big World of Warcraft game that came out, like probably almost 10 years ago. And like that game takes I think it's like a 2 to 8 player game or something like that, because you can have 4 Horde and 4 Alliance. And it like the games take 6 hours like that. You have to invest a lot of time, because like just like grinding in the video game, you grind in the board game. And you can steal each other's XP and quests and things like that. And I just think that like the girth of a game can really turn people off from wanting to try it, or at least, or just picking it up. I mean, like if you go to like Target or Walmart, and you go there and you look at the games, and you look at one that looks family friendly, and it's a I don't know, like a 2 foot box or something like that. You're just like, that looks okay. But then you look at one that's only a 1 foot box and it's a family game. You're like, oh, that looks less complicated. We'll pick that one up. So it's like, it's a, it's like it's a situational thing.
In terms of board games, size matters.
Yeah, well, I guess if you're, uh, yeah,
Just as a side tangent, I looked at the price for that original World of Warcraft box game. If you have it still completed in the box unopened, it's going for like $1,000 right now.
well, it's definitely open, but everything's still in there.
I mean, you could probably still get a solid couple $100 from that, like $300-500,
I
which
probably
is
could.
like insane.
Yeah, because well, I have the expansion box too for Burning Crusade.
I think there were 2 expansion boxes, if I'm not mistaken.
As far as I know, there's just the one, but it brings like updated Doomlord Kazakh and stuff like that. But I mean, like, I like the game. It's girthy. I've maybe played it in the 10 years I've had it, maybe played it twice because the games just take so long. And if I was going to play a long game, I would just play Warhammer. Like,
Right.
like just
Yeah.
because the setup doesn't take as, because that's the other thing too with some of those bigger games like Gloomhaven and Descent and like the World of Warcraft board game. Like setup alone takes like 45 minutes to an hour depending on if how organized your parts are too, because you had mentioned how a lot of these games have all these bits and pieces and models and things like that, and that that can really slow down the process too if you have to put everything in its place and like scramble through your box to find it. And I could see why people would be turned off from that, or why it would give that game a bad rep.
It's like unboxing the giant Hero Quest board I got back there from the Kickstarter, and I do think it does intimidate people because it does require a little bit of setup. I gotta set up things. I have to interrupt the game flow to put the pieces on, and that could turn some people off into the game. You have to make a character sheet, which turns people off. Um, kind of a side note, and could have been a topic on its own, but I'm just gonna ask it anyway. Do you think it's easier? You have these complex board games, Gloomhaven, Hero Quest, Pandemic, World of Warcraft, or these very open big board games. Do you think it's easier for players and new players to get into something like a tabletop role playing game instead of these board games?
Absolutely. Yeah. Like as somebody who's been playing Dungeons and Dragons and Wrath and Glory for quite a few years now, I tell people all the time that Dungeons and Dragons especially is a game that anybody could like or have fun with. It just depends on like your group and your dungeon master and the setting and all that kind of stuff. And like you take it from the like experienced dungeon masters, not like myself, but like other people on the interwebs or someone else who has experience. Like they'll tell you that you really only need a player's handbook in order to play in order to play Dungeons and Dragons.
It's
Like
true.
you don't need any other book in the entire collection that Wizards of the Coast has. I mean, you can completely play homebrew. I mean, as long as you know like the basic rules for like combat and stuff like that, that's about it. Like I mean, role play wise, Dungeon Master can rule whatever, whatever makes sense to them, or if the players make a really cool plan and they want to go through with that. I mean, it's fair game, both ways in a sense. So I mean, I think that it's way easier to just sit at a table, make your character, and play that character the way you want to play it, than it is to sit at a table, make sure you have your character card and your spell cards, and that you've got your little model, and then you're keeping track of all the math and what level you are, and then also making sure you're on the right spot on the map. And it's just, it could be cumbersome.
You've been holding in that grudge for Gloomhaven for a while, huh?
Look, man, I like Gloomhaven. I think it is a neat game because I play the psychic rat guy and he is cool. But girth. There's too much.
Girth is kind of hard for for rulings and all that. Like we mentioned a lot. I mentioned it a while ago, just because it's like the most relevant game that I have right now. Hero Quest is a simple game.
Yeah.
Like it has nuance, but it is simple. And I think that's to its benefit rather than its detriment. Because you can take someone who's not used to any of that stuff, show them the ropes a little bit, and all of a sudden, they want to play more.
I think it's like Lost Mines of Phandelver, you know, it's so simplistic that you just, you know, you do what's in front of you, and then once it's done, you're like, wow, that was pretty neat. I can't wait to do another one.
I got to thinking as well, are games like well, one of my favorite board games, it's more of the collectible card game. Sentinels of the Multiverse is one of the best tabletop games on the market.
Such a good game, dude.
It's so good. And I wonder, because, like, that game could be kind of considered complicated, because there's a lot of math involved. And, you know, if you're not using, like, a companion app or playing it online like we sometimes do.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't even consider it a board game.
You wouldn't consider it a board game?
Dude, it's a card game through and through.
Interesting. I always considered, I don't know, because, like, I say, like, it's considered like a collectible card game. Like a CCG. There's no booster packs, there's no really trading involved, you just get the game and go. It's a card-based game, but I mean, what even defines a board game? Because people call Cards Against Humanity a board game.
That'd be a card game. A board game, the word is in the definition. A game with a board.
Right.
I mean, that's like saying, because, I mean, when I look at, say, we take Sentinels of the Multiverse, I mean, the World of Warcraft card game has raids where you fight against the game using other decks. So, I mean...
we might have to talk about that in another episode. I love the World of Warcraft card game.
Me too. I said when I cleaned off my shelf today, I had to put all my World of Warcraft cards away. Boo.
Boo.
But yeah, I mean, me personally, I would consider it a card game, just for the sole fact that it basically is what the World of Warcraft card game did with raid bosses.
So, like, if you were to push, if you were like looking at Mr. Board Game right now,
I'd have a fist clenched, ready to hit him in the face
for having the last name board game.
Yes. I judge
so
books by their covers.
But you get to talk to Big Board Game.
Now he's big board game. Well, now he's getting a big fist.
You get to talk to a Big Board Game about what you want to see in these next generations of games. Can you give me like one or two things you want to see?
I don't know, more probably like less pieces but more dice. I don't know.
I agree with that. Oh my god, there's so much less dice now.
Yeah, I know. Like I want to see less like stacks of cards telling me what to do and more dice rolls on like just 4+ and this happens, or you know, 1 2 3 this happens.
I think that'd be great because that also preps any sort of like I got a lisp now.
Oh boy.
That preps any sort of like future like tabletop game, or if you wanted to go into Dungeons and Dragons, which a lot of people who play a lot of board games probably already play D&D.
Yeah. Well, like, remember what was it? Remember the old Master Trainer Pokemon board game?
I love the original the first two Master Trainers are the best.
Yeah, they are the best, easily. And you know, like how it, like to catch the Pokemon, it was like you stepped on the piece, you flipped the chip over, and it was like, okay, roll this dice, and if you get this, you catch this Pokemon. Like, why not just something that simple?
Honestly, I love that idea. I love the idea of dice coming back, because dice are just lost. They're replaced with something like a spinner or or just a card that says move this many spaces, like Candyland.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like it's like most, especially when it comes to like RPGs or boxed RPGs, I should say. It's all like cards do everything for you. Like you move freely and you play a card, or you play a card and then your opponent plays this card, and then you move some models some more and then you play this card. It's like where's the dice rolling, man? Like I'm playing an RPG here. I expect to roll some dice, and that could just be because of my dice rolling expectations as being a Warhammer player and a Dungeons and Dragons player. But I've still had dice in a lot of my other like standalone board games that we've played. You know, I guess technically they're still like World of Warcraft or Dungeons and Dragons, but either way, I mean there's adventure games that we've played like or Hero Quest. Hero Quest is a dice game. Sure, there's spell cards, but only for 2 classes. You know, like I just that would be where my statement stands: is less cards, more dice.
I love that. I genuinely love that idea of more dice in games. Like
Yeah.
classic games, like I don't know why we stopped using the dice. Classic games like Clue. Clue didn't technically need dice, but it had dice because it was better.
Yeah.
Um
Put dice in Risk.
Honestly, yo, put dice in Risk. I
If there
also
isn't
want to
already.
see I also want to see a cross risk game or a cross risk rules, so I can
Yeah.
mix in Warhammer Risk with Halo Risk, or classic Risk with Dinosaur Risk. Just because, like, why not? Why not have an interdimensional Risk war?
I guess you know, I'll bring this back up again when we get into our other topic that could involve this.
Um, crap. Which topic are you talking about?
Oh, don't worry. I'm gonna surprise you. You're gonna be waiting for it, and it'll come when you least expect it.
I'm always waiting for the least expected come.
As long as your name isn't Mr. Board Game, you don't have anything to worry about.
Mr. Board Game, Chris is here to see you now. Please let him in.
Mistake number 1.
Being bored. Oh gosh, I just speaking of some board games that were pretty simple. Freaking, I didn't realize I had 2 different battleships on me. I miss Battleship, man.
Battleship's pretty baller.
I like Battleship a lot. Like even like when it became like Electric Battleship, or like at Target, I saw that there was a space battleship, which is like a 3D battleship. You get to set up your spaceships like in the 3rd dimension.
That's pretty cool.
I love that idea.
I think they should branch out with Battleship quite a bit more. Like maybe adding in like the Battlefleet Gothic kind of stuff for Battleship. That'd be kind of cool.
That'd be pretty cool. I think they should have something like a big battle for Battleship that maybe involves like air, like planes, or something of like a submarine or something.
Tell you what Battleship needs, and I'm sure you'll agree with me on this. More dice.
Yeah, honestly, Battleship needs more dice. Need a roll to hit.
It's like I'm gonna fire a torpedo at B-17. That'll be a 4+ to hit.
I gotta get the aesthetic. That's a 5.
You've I didn't even hear it, so you've already ruined it.
What do you mean you didn't hear it? It picked up on my end.
All right, well, that works. Just punch the microphone. Here's your dice roll.
Is there anything else you want to add to board games being complicated? On top, I mean, we could talk about maybe even tabletop games in complication, or we could save that for another day.
I think like TT or well, tabletops and TTRPGs have their own problems and ups and downs. Board games in general, I suppose another thing that I have a problem with is and this, not to stem into a different topic, but similar to how Warhammer or Games Workshop sort of controls their pricings for their models by just stuffing more plastic than you actually need in
Mm-hmm.
these boxes to justify their price. I
Right.
feel like I feel like board games are kind of on that scene too. Like just
Honestly,
stuff more cards in there, stuff more rules and girth and boards and cardboard and paper, and then that way we can sell this game for $120.
and who would buy a board game for $120?
Well, it
I have to
depends on the
cover my
board.
board games.
It really depends on the board game, but
It
I'm
does.
just saying. I'm just saying, like that. Like I feel that's if there wasn't so much of that inside of it, would it really be worth what it is? Like, are they just putting a bunch of unnecessary things in there? Like, you could probably play the game without this little tiny piece to represent a door or to represent a wall. Could you not just, use a dry erase marker and just eat and then just put that on there?
I mean, that's most definitely an option.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just complaining at this point, but
That's the entire point. Like, that's half of the reason you wanted to be on the podcast with me in the first place, is to complain.
yeah, I mean, if you got to hear it and I got to hear it, everybody's got to hear it.
Yeah. Everyone's got to hear it.
You hear that, everybody?
I think that's good for board games. I don't really have much else to add. I just want to play more. I've been kind of slacking on like the board games I play.
Yeah. Well, like I've got because there's some phenomenal ones too. Like I have Betrayal on Haunted House or whatever.
Yeah.
I just call it Betrayal because that's what most people know it as. But like that game is awesome.
I'm mad I haven't played it.
Yeah, it's super great. And I've actually talked to the D&D crew for the Saturday group that we might even skip a night and just have everybody come over and play Betrayal.
I love that.
Yeah. So I think if we're not feeling Dungeons and Dragons that night, then it just let's play some board games because I have tons.
Yeah.
I still have that Bionicle one I haven't tried yet.
Dude, man, that's gonna be a topic. I have to remember to write that down. Freaking Bionicle, man.
Bionicle.
Oh my god, we gotta get Connor on the show for that.
Dude, for that, because I still want to do that segment for the good, the bad, and the ugly, so we can do Bionicle, either Where Are They Now or Good, the Bad, and Ugly.
I mean, I could do that segment real quick. Good, the first 3 generations. Bad, the rest.
Ugly, what they've done to the name Bionicle.
Oh my god, yes.
How they're just Legos now.
They are, like, they didn't feel like Legos before, but I mean, now they do.
They weren't. But yeah. Board games.
Board games, cool. Pretty dang awesome.
Yeah. Pretty swooed. What's next?
So our next topic on here is one that we kind of talked about when we were playing Classic WoW a few days ago, but it's this was a topic that I wanted to complain about because you had the opposite opinion of me, and that's have we taken story in video games too far?
I thought you were gonna be like, and you had the audacity to say. I was like, whoa, man, I'm about to get attacked on live TV.
No. You have the complete opposite opinion of me, and that's, I get your opinion. I really do. Maybe it's because we look at different games, honestly, but I feel with new releases coming out, I feel like they're putting so much emphasis on an experience, a storied experience that's gonna move you. And I'm like, I'm playing NBA 2K22. I don't want an experience.
Right.
I feel like, there are games where that's their place. The Last of Us, that's pretty much the whole game, or the Walking Dead Telltale series. Most of the Telltale games are storied experiences. But do we really need such super crazy epic plots in every game? Because I feel like if a game doesn't have this emotional attachment story that's going to make you feel for every bit of the character, then the game's not good. When really the gameplay is the ultimate thing that matters.
Well, and I think honestly that's lost with the current generation, because most adults now that are considered game critics are I don't really know how to put it without being a jerk, but like like they're
No,
just
Chris, be a jerk. Be the man I know you are.
oh, I'm just saying, it's just like I think that they've got their heads up their butts on it. I feel like they think that their opinion on a game is more high and mighty than just Joe Schmo who's just picking up this game because he likes Pokemon. Like he's like,
Well, oh my
I'm not
god, exactly.
yeah, like I don't understand why a developer thinks that they have to make a game for the person who's like the Yelp reviewer, and not for the majority of people who are just, I want to buy your game because I like this.
Well,
You
it's
know,
like
and
Pokemon's the perfect example of that.
yeah. Oh, I know, because a Pokemon game will come out and people will be like, "Oh, it's garbage," and it's like, but I mean, it's just like every other Pokemon game. Like this game just feels like the games I've been playing since 1998. Like,
Well, and it's like, I feel, because everyone looks back at the older generation of Pokemon games, they're like, oh, these games were so great. They had such good, story and charm. And I'm like, that was the charm of Pokemon. It had a simple story that wasn't overly complex. You were 10, you catch animals, you collect badges, you stop an evil team. And that didn't change for like 15 years.
yeah, I know. And now instead of just having like bad guys, now we just now like every bad guy that we fight is the questionable villain or something like that, or like the sympathetic villain, where
Right.
I think it honestly started with X and Y with Lysander, because I know his whole thing was just, I'm gonna blow the world up, but his like reason was because there's just so much corruption and darkness in the world that I want to reshape it in this image. And it's like, I don't care why he wants to blow the world up. Like, just let him be a Saturday morning villain. Just let him be the, I'm bad because I'm bad. I mean, if sometimes you just got to have a Skeletor, and that's all we need.
Yeah.
Yeah, like we just
No,
need. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, I agree. I think people need to just be okay with someone being that. Frieza in Dragon Ball is not a complex villain.
No.
He's evil.
Yeah.
Done.
He's a whiny brat emperor that just happens to have a ton of power.
Yeah, and he's one of the most celebrated characters.
Yep.
And it's like, I'm not against like having a good story in a game. I think the God of War trilogy, the 3 God of War games, the first 3, had great stories.
Masterpieces.
They're amazing games. I wasn't even a big fan of God of War, and you know that I'm not the biggest fan of God of War, but I thought the story was really cool.
It was. I mean,
and
honestly,
it didn't sacrifice gameplay for it. Unlike the new God of Wars, where I think the gameplay is squandered because they need to tell this whole epic story.
Yeah. Well, and that's because the reviewers are going in that direction, and I'm not saying like the average person doesn't want like a good story too. I'm just saying that it's not necessary for certain games. I mean, like when you first brought up this topic, the first thing I thought of a game that didn't need a story mode but had one, and it's incredibly memorable, was like the Tony Hawk Underground series.
I was thinking the same thing.
Yeah, like Thug 1 and 2, it was literally just a skateboard game, because we were coming off of Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3, and we had 1, 2, and 3 of Tony Hawk's Pro Skater where it was just skateboarding. And then we get this Thug game for the first Underground game comes out, and you're just like, oh cool, I create character, I do some more skating, but what's this? A story mode? And I mean, the story was pretty simplistic. It was literally just rack up points, get sponsored, go do the big or not tournament. What do you call it?
No, tournaments,
like
right?
Yeah, or it
Competition.
was yeah, like the big skate competition, and then you and your rival or you and your friend like join different teams or something like that, and
Yeah.
then you always go up. Yeah, it's so simple, but they executed it so well in a way to where it felt like you were playing like GTA, but you were
No,
playing a skateboard game.
it was, and honestly, like I was watching a video about like this was a while ago about like how open worlds have been like completely destroyed with modern games, and I'm over here like honestly, Tony Hawk's Underground was a great open world game.
Yeah, well, and that's the thing is like I feel like the term open world is so broad now because people confuse sandbox and open world as like I differentiate those two. I feel like
Right.
sandbox and open world are completely different, but I also think that, like I said, like people overestimate what open world means, so their expectations are like when most people hear open world, they think Skyrim, they think Breath of the Wild, they think World of Warcraft, like these gigantic, massive worlds that you can walk around in. But realistically, I mean, open world is as simple as like the Dragon Age games, where it was just, you had one segment of a map that you could walk around, and then you transition to another segment of a map that you walked around, and you could kind of, pick and choose what you want to do. Um,
My
I,
friend Taryn is screaming because Dragon Age was mentioned. They love Dragon Age.
Oh, I love Dragon Age. Dragon Age is one of the best games ever made. Um, and but that's what I'm saying is like those kinds of games. I think open world needs to be smaller. I think we need to think small with our open world games, and instead of thinking of massive worlds, just allow me to do whatever the heck I want in this city.
I think really the only company that gets like that philosophy of game first is Nintendo. And
Yeah,
they've always
I
been
mean,
that way, really. They have
yeah,
good stories. There's no doubt about it, but they're not these I'm gonna make you, try to cry every 3 minutes sort of crap.
right.
It doesn't sacrifice the gameplay for the sake of story.
Right. Yeah, I mean, like Mario 64 is technically open world.
It's true.
I mean, it's still zoned, but I mean, like the hub in its core is what open world is, because
I
you have
like
a
how
choice.
this the topic went from what defines open world from has story gone too far.
Well, I mean, I feel
No,
like they
no.
go. I was
I
gonna say, I
get you
feel like
saying.
they go hand in hand.
They do.
Because if you have this massive world, yeah, there's gonna be one story, but you also have the choice to not follow that story. Um,
Right.
but here's an idea. I think linear games need to make a comeback,
Yeah, I absolutely
because
agree.
I, me personally, am just sick of all these games that have good ending, bad ending, best ending, true ending. Like I'm just like, why does there have to be so many endings? Like I get people like choices in games, but I don't always need my choices to matter in a game for a game to be good.
Right.
Like I like to play a linear game where it's just I do the thing, I beat the thing, I win the game.
Yeah, honestly.
I
I
think that's something that's lost on video games nowadays too. Is the fact that, well, I bought this game and it's just a linear story that I play for 6 to 8 hours and now I have nothing to do. It's like, but you have that experience now.
yeah.
Why do you need this? Why do you need so many choices in a game to where you can, play it 5 or 6 times in order to get everything done and complete it on new game plus mode, and then now you're the bestest pro gamer ever. Like, why? No game has to be like that. You could just play the game, enjoy the experience, wait for the next game, or come back in like a month or so and play through the game again. I mean, like I have so many single player linear games that have changed my life or have made me the gamer I am today because I enjoyed the experience.
Well, I
Not
think the
not
go ahead.
necessarily because I was given a choice.
I feel with games right now that a big push, because we've seen it for a while. It's nothing new. Is the fact that you release the game incomplete, but a lot of
Oh,
these games that may not have 100 hours of content. I mean, like Mario 64 didn't have 100 hours of content. Pokemon didn't have 100 hours of content, especially the first generation. Later generations argued probably yeah, but first generation absolutely not. But these are the games that kicked off everything, and people still visit them today. Um, I feel that we release these games incomplete, and we don't get that full experience. We need something to keep us coming back, like new game pluses and all of that, instead of having the game be stagnant and good. I think honestly, maybe 10 years down the line, do you remember the game Order 1886 or whatever it was called?
yeah.
Yeah, I think because people were complaining it's got 7 hours of content. Okay, I understand the argument of for every dollar you spend, you want an hour of content, but 7 hours of content really isn't that bad considering the experience you have with it. 10 years down the line, you'll look at that again and go, "Wow, I really want to play this again." You
Yeah.
don't need a 500-hour experience every time you play. It's honestly what turns me off to most JRPGs is the
Well,
fact that I have to invest 1,000 hours into the game every time I play, and that can be good for some people. But with me, I just think I shouldn't have to spend months to get an experience. I should be able to have an experience.
well, and that's the thing too, is like, like that's catering to uh like the people that have to put hundreds of hours into a game in order to get the full experience, the new game plus 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 or whatever, get all the achievements and be the best video game boy ever. Like that that's its own beast. Like what about they have to devote all their time to that one game in order to do that. But guys like us, we have tons of hobbies. I mean, we're World of Warcraft players. We play Warhammer. We like board games. We like card games. Like we have families to spend time with. We have jobs. So it's like, you know, I like to separate all that stuff, or I should say, I have to separate all that stuff and do it in segments. So it's like, why would I want to buy a game where I have to spend so much time on this one thing in order to get the full experience out of it when I could just go and buy, you know, whatever game and then play through it one time and it'll be like, awesome, that was a great experience. I'll always remember this game.
Yeah. And
That could be a good or bad memory too. Like it could be a bad game and be like, yeah, I'll never forget this game. It's a load of crap. Like,
oh, we got a few of those. That's a topic in itself.
yeah, we'll call it the garbage pail.
Oh God, write that down quickly because we're gonna forget.
Okay. Or we could call it like the stinky stinkersons.
We're not calling it the Stinky Stickers.
Okay. I just wanted to think of a stupider name than the garbage pail.
Like, I like games where, if we're talking story, I love games where you are the one pushing for the game's story. In World of Warcraft, a lot of the story isn't told to you. It's not catered to you. You have to go out and find that story. And I think that's actually a kind of interesting. That's kind of like like world building, but like on a micro level. I love that idea. Um, Instead of it being like force fed like a movie, I think we're making games into movies right now, and that's the wrong direction we need to be going because they're two very different mediums.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean just look at what was that? What was it? Metal Gear Solid 4 that had a the ending cinematic which was like an hour and 15 minutes.
I never understood, like, I'm not a big Metal Gear fan. I tried the Metal Gear Solid games, they just weren't my thing. I don't get the need for an hour cutscene. At that point, just release a movie.
Yeah, just do what Final Fantasy VII did with Advent Children and release that, and you'll like for Advent Children was made for the people that didn't want to play Final Fantasy VII.
Okay, but also Advent Children is super celebrated.
It's so good though. I love it.
Like, people love Advent Children. I think they should do that with the Metal Gear games. I think it would get a lot of more people interested in the series.
Yeah, I agree.
We got a little bit of time left, so we're gonna go to the last topic here. This is another kind of me topic because I've been kind of getting back into it and trying to collect again. So there was a couple years ago, I want to say like 2011. I say a couple years, but that's like 11 years ago.
Yeah, it is.
God, we're getting old.
Math.
There was a franchise that came out called Skylanders.
Boo.
Incredible game. I love Skylanders. And it sparked the whole Toys to Life franchise, and it died very quickly with the last games being Disney Infinity and Lego Universe. Not Lego Universe, Lego Dimensions. I brought the topic up to you. Could Toys to Life make a comeback in this day and age? Because all we really have are the amiibos, and they don't really count.
Only if it's a Risk multiverse, and you have to buy each Risk army and put them
God
onto
damn
the
it.
portal and summon them to your virtual Risk board.
The man just made $1 million right now. The Hasbro Gaming, I know you own Risk. I think you own Risk. Get on that.
Call me Executive Mr. Board Game.
Ooh. Executive Mr. Board Game. Mr. Board Game is here to see you. Are you able to take his call?
I'm busy.
Puts on the
Starts playing
shades.
So,
Oh god.
Toys to Life question. Yes. No, I don't think they can make a comeback. I'm sure they're dead at this point.
What makes you say that?
Well, the whole thing with Toys to Life was that, you know, if you weren't using the toy for the video game, you could use it as a toy. Like, hence Toy to Life.
Right.
But kids nowadays are not playing with toys anymore. Like, every kid is either in a sport, playing video games, or, you know, like doing another hobby. Like, I don't like kids younger and younger are getting into hobbies and games and stuff like that. So I mean, it's not a bad thing.
Right.
I'm just saying that at a certain age, and it seems to get younger and younger, kids just stop playing with toys, and then they just lay around and do nothing and whatever. So I think that it's a genre that may have just came out at the right time, enough for them to make a ton of money off of it, and then they flew the coop. You know what I mean?
I honestly think that Lego Dimensions, first of all, came out in the wrong time, because honestly, if Lego Dimensions was there like during Skylanders like Giants or Swap Force era, oh my god, it might have killed Skylanders, because Lego is one of the biggest brands. You have all these crossovers, and
well, yeah,
I mean, that doubles as the toy, because kids love Legos.
Yeah, and you have to put all those things together.
Yeah, and I think, you still have to build the characters. I'm over here like, this is such a genius move. I think if Toys to Life could make a comeback, it would be through Lego.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, if they really wanted to make it come back to life, then yeah, it would be Lego would be the one to do it, or you know, some other company would probably try to do like augmented reality to take the cheap way out.
Oh god, don't even get me started on augmented reality.
Hey, you know, it was an interesting idea. Nobody said it was a good idea.
Like, oh neat, I can use these cards on my 3DS and pop out a micro game. I'll never use these again, throw them away.
Like, you go out playing Pokemon Go, because, you know, I guess people still play that. But People are playing Pokemon Go and they're like, "Oh, I heard there's a Pikachu on my car." Lol.
Honestly, I don't meet a lot of people who use the AR camera on Pokemon Go anymore.
I don't know anyone who still plays Pokemon Go.
I was on it for a while. I'm
Sure.
usually on it during like the spring or summer when the weather is less deathly.
When it's less weathery.
When it's less weathery. Just cause like I can do it while I'm working, cause like I run deliveries, so I'll run out, do a delivery, come back in, catch Pokemon, and just constantly do that. I get like 26,000 steps a day, so
Yeah, that sounds about right.
so it's like it works out for me being able to do something like that. I miss Toys to Life. I love the Toys to Life franchise. I love Skylanders so much. I mean, I went to Goodwill the other day, and I bought a used Disney Infinity box set because it's like, why not? Disney Infinity is kind of a neat concept. After I learned more about it, I learned it was a horrible concept. But
Yeah. Yeah, Disney Infinity really, like, they messed it up. They if Skylanders started it and Lego Dimensions hit the nail on the head, then Disney Infinity completely missed the mark. Like, they blew it.
And the biggest reason they blew it is you couldn't mix characters.
No, like, you had to play the characters from their movie or cartoon or whatever in that level. Like, you couldn't play Mr. Incredible in Monsters Inc., even though they're both Pixar.
But like even that, like I think that would have made, if they would have had that little crossover thing. Oh my god, Disney would still be making them.
Well, yeah. I mean, you gotta think, like, it's like, it would have been like the Super Smash Brothers of Toys to Life.
Exactly. I almost think that would be kind of a cool concept.
You ever notice how, side note, you ever notice how nobody says Super Smash Bros anymore? They just say Smash Bros or Smash. Like, they just forgot Super was in the name.
I don't like that you pointed this out to me, Chris.
Have I pointed out your shortcomings?
I don't like that you pointed. It makes me feel insecure, inept. Makes me feel dumb and stupid and
Yeah, but
lame.
now you're gonna notice it every time somebody says it.
So now I'm gonna have to start saying Super Smash Brothers. Okay,
That's
like
right. If you want to be, analytically correct.
so you want to be a master of Pokemon? Do you have the skills to be number one?
To be super number one. So yeah, I mean, like, I think, and this is just like for what I think could happen in the future, or what a lot of people want to see happen in the future. I think the next thing that we could see for Toys to Life, if they wanted it to be alive again, if they wanted to Frankenstein's monster this thing, then when virtual dueling for like Yu-Gi-Oh happens, that I would consider that Toys to Life.
Yeah. And I think that might beat Lego Dimensions if they start doing augmented reality cards.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Can we get on that? Like,
yeah, well,
hey, Oculus, I know you're listening to our podcast. I know you're a big fan.
Come on, Facebook, I know you're listening to everything.
Like, please give that to me. I want virtual dueling like that so bad.
Could you just imagine, dude?
Like, it's just a casual thing. I don't think, like, the way the game is right now, it would not work on a dual disc augmented reality.
Well, no, because they've added so many extra zones to the dual disc, or to the board now.
More than that, I just think that the game is really complex right now.
Yeah, I think if it was gonna work on anything, it wouldn't be a dual disc. You'd have to do like dual stadiums, like from Duelist Kingdom.
Honestly, like, dual discs are cool. I think dual stadiums are just better.
I agree 100%. Like, dual discs are neat. The ability to just duel wherever is cool, but there's something about the dual stadium makes it even more epic.
Well, yeah, it's like an event. We're not sitting there, dual discs are cool. I got one. You got one too, Chris. Dual discs are cool. They got the epic draw. We got the summon. They got the cool poses that they do when they do it. But there's something real about the dual field in like Duelist Kingdom or the first episode of the Battle City where Yugi was fighting the possessed bandit Keith. Where
yeah,
it's something special where you're like, oh man, it's about to get real.
Well, it's like anybody can just be a street performer as a dual with a dual disc, but when you're in the high chair of the duel stadium, it's more of a look at me, like we're dueling.
Street performer is actually like the best analogy for something like that.
Yeah, I mean that's just how I see it. But yeah, I think Toys to Life has potential to come back, but it would just have to be in a different direction. Like it could never be, what Skylanders or Disney Infinity was. Like it would have to either be Lego wanting to bring it back and try it again, or it would have to be like card games coming to life, or you know what I mean, like virtual card game,
right?
Like Yu-Gi-Oh, or like the chaotic thing that you had mentioned, like having VR but having chaotic where whatever attacks whatever, and then you like turn into that guy and you're playing that avatar.
Yeah.
Like that could be another sort of like toy to life thing too.
Toys to Life really was a lightning in a bottle moment, and that's that kind of innovation is kind of fun to see over the years that we really haven't seen in a while.
But you just never know where it's going to go or what can come out of it. And it kind of goes back to the very first thing we talked about in this episode, was with like the board games, using other board games as foundations and then making something even better or something else that works. So, I mean, another gaming company could see what Skylanders was and be like, wow, look, this is where they messed up, and this is where they had their highest gross for the year, so we'll follow that. We'll try to not do what they did this time, and like they can look back at history and not repeat itself.
Yeah,
just like humanity does.
There's a lot of potential within the sphere that is Toys to Life, and I'm excited to see, because like I want peripherals back. I thought those were kind of neat, even.
Yeah.
Well, it's like I felt like even the small changes, like putting like if you were like with the Wii had like the most peripherals ever for a controller, but like it was kind of neat to see in real time, like over the years. Yeah, you had your attach a tiny golf club to try to play the Wii Golf. But you also had everyone's favorite, which was the Mario Kart steering wheel, which was one of the best peripherals they had. They had a little baseball bat, putting like a sword at the end of something for like a Switch controller.
Yeah, remember Link's crossbow training?
Yes! I still have the Wii Zapper in my controller bin.
Yeah, man.
I feel like Xbox gave up on the Kinect too fast for a peripheral.
Well, I mean, you were the controller, so what are you gonna do? Are you gonna wear special socks that make it look like golf clubs, and then you just kick the golf ball?
Dang it! How did he know my brilliant idea? The golf club socks. You're missing money, Microsoft.
I know. That's what I'm saying.
We got about 4 minutes. Did you want to do another topic, or just kind of wrap up?
Yeah, we can wrap it up. I think what else we had planned would be a lot longer. Maybe add to a more philosophical episode instead of just like hey, we're back. Let's talk about some stuff.
We did just kind of talk about some stuff, and I ain't against it. I like talking about stuff.
No, I think this is a good comeback episode. I'm glad that we're doing this again. Now that our lives are a lot less crazy and a little more settled, and holidays are over, so we don't have to worry about going anywhere. So I think this was probably the best time to start this up again. and yeah, just start, coming out with more segments, maybe some let's plays, something along those lines.
Maybe some let's plays. We'll see what happens. I'm fine with just kind of this talking format, but we'll see what we'll do down the line. It's just good to kind of get back doing some off the wall content. None of this was planned. We're kind of shooting from the hip here.
Yeah, just kind of logged onto the computer, said, "So, 4th episode's today, right?"
You logged on. You said you're click record right now, and I'm like, yeah, okay.
Said we're doing the thing today, right?
Yeah, he said we were doing the thing like 14 times. It wouldn't like confirm with me what the thing was because he also logged on to battle.net, and I'm like, oh, we playing Classic? We playing Hearthstone? What's going on here?
And I was a little insulted that he didn't know what the thing was.
I like confirmation. I've always liked confirmation.
Well, I like content and dice. More dice, please.
More dice, for God's sakes. If there's one thing I could add to the universe, it's more dice.
Can we just get a hashtag rolling? Hashtag more dice, please.
In the comments, guys, could you write down hashtag more dice? Don't put any context into it, but just do it for me. I love you.
Whoa, man.
And also, I just want to get a little promotion to everyone to buy Hero Quest when it comes into retail because this game is amazing. It's a big box, and I know we talked about board games. It's not complex. It's super fun. Please buy it when it comes to stores.
Yes, do that. I have nothing to advertise because I'm not a corporate shill.
I am. I am an absolute Raid Shadow Legends. If you're there, I'm your man.
And, I mean, unless you look at my Animal Crossing character, he's wearing all of the Nook Incorporated gear. So
wow,
that's the one. Wow, it's the one time I advertise.
Nook put you on a deserted island and said, "You know what? Figure it out, bud."
And pay me while you figure it out.
Yeah, and pay me. In the first Animal Crossing game on GameCube, he gave you the house. Yeah. He laughed in your face when you tried to give him the money, though. He's like, oh, man, this is all you got? Man, you're really sad. You live a pretty sad life. You're like, yeah, I do. Thanks, Nook. I'm running away from my family that was abusing me.
That's true. He doesn't know.
He doesn't know. He just laughs at you. He gave you a job, but he laughs at you.
He did give you a job, and you had to wear your apron for like... But if you were cool like me, you didn't wear the apron.
Nah, you were too cool for the apron. I wore the apron.
I was like 12 when Animal Crossing came out, so I was already developing my angsty teenager habits.
Now this is his angsty teenager habits in his final form at almost 30.
Yes, it's angsty adult, but also responsible.
Angsty responsible adult. He listens to My Chemical Romance, but does his taxes.
Right. I'm not a vamp kid. I'm a freaking goth.
I'm so mad I missed the South Park specials, man.
Oh, the post-COVID ones?
Yeah, I keep seeing clips of them and they're so funny.
Yeah, I miss them all too. I haven't kept up with that show in a long time. Like, I think the last season that I ever actually sat and watched was the PC principal like kills the little girl or whatever because she was like a robot. I don't know.
Right.
That's the last time I ever watched it, and I was like, story has gotten too far in my South Park episodes. I missed
story has gotten too far in South Park and gaming.
It is. South Park doesn't need an overarching story. I just want funny episode and next week funny episode. They do not have to coincide with each other. Trey Parker, Matt Stone, what is your problem?
Toys to Life
is dead. Dong.
I had to do a one last roundabout for everything to conclude.
That's right.
But yeah, well, hopefully we'll keep up with this time. I know we did like months in between, but hopefully we're gonna try to keep it up. This obviously this isn't our full-time job. We do this for fun, and we just want everyone to have some fun here too.
Yeah, always fun.
Anything you want to say for goodbye, Chris, before I stop recording?
No, I pretty much yelled about everything I need to yell about, and until you give me more topics to yell about.
Oh, I'll give you more topics. There's plenty.
Oh, boy.
Until then, goodbye, y'all. Thanks for sticking with us, and see you later.
Peace out.